The morning sun cast long shadows across the red soil of New Busan when the alien ships arrived. Commander Jiho was drinking his second cup of coffee in the colony's main building when the alarm started screaming. He set down his mug and walked to the large window that faced the landing fields. 3 massive black ships descended from the cloudy sky. They looked like giant beetles with sharp edges and glowing red lights. The ships landed with thunderous crashes that shook the entire building. Dust clouds rose around them like brown fog. "Sir, we have incoming communication," called out Lieutenant Hana from her station. Her voice was steady, but Jiho could hear the worry underneath. "Put it through," Jiho said. He straightened his uniform and walked to the communication console. The screen flickered and showed a creature that made several colonists gasp. The alien had gray skin that looked like stone. Its head was long and narrow, with 4 yellow eyes arranged in a square pattern. Sharp teeth filled its mouth when it spoke. "I am General Krex of the Vorthak Empire," the alien said. Its voice sounded like rocks grinding together. "Your world now belongs to us. You will surrender immediately or face destruction." Jiho kept his face calm even though his heart was beating faster. He had read about the Vorthak in military briefings. They were known across the galaxy as one of the most dangerous species. Their bodies could handle deadly poisons that would kill other creatures instantly. They used this ability to conquer worlds by poisoning water supplies and food sources. "General Krex, I am Commander Jiho of the human colony New Busan. We are a peaceful settlement. Perhaps we can discuss this situation." The alien general made a sound that might have been laughter. "Discuss? Your species is weak. We have conquered 47 worlds. Each one thought they could resist us. Each one learned the truth about Vorthak power." Behind Jiho, Dr. Mina stepped forward. She was the colony's head scientist and had been studying alien biology for years. Her dark hair was pulled back in a neat ponytail and she wore her usual white lab coat. "General Krex," she said politely, "we have heard stories about your species' abilities. Very impressive biological adaptations." The alien's 4 eyes focused on her. "You know of our poison immunity? Good. Then you understand why resistance is useless. We can consume toxins that would kill 100 of your kind. Our weapons are coated with substances that shut down nervous systems in seconds." Dr. Mina nodded thoughtfully. "Fascinating. Your evolutionary development must have been quite unique." General Krex leaned closer to the screen. "You seem smarter than most primitives. I will offer your species a demonstration. This will help you understand your situation better." "What kind of demonstration?" Jiho asked. "A contest of strength. Your species against ours. We will show you why the Vorthak Empire cannot be defeated." The general's teeth gleamed in the dim light of his ship. "Choose your strongest warrior. We will test resistance to toxic substances. When your champion dies and ours lives, your people will surrender without further trouble." The communication center fell silent. Several colonists looked at each other with worried expressions. Everyone knew that humans had no special resistance to poisons. They were just ordinary people trying to build a new life on this distant world. Jiho was about to speak when Dr. Mina stepped forward again. "We accept your challenge," she said calmly. "Mina," Jiho whispered urgently. "What are you doing?" She looked at him with a slight smile. "Trust me, Commander. I have some ideas about this contest." General Krex showed his teeth again. "Excellent. We will meet on neutral ground between our ships and your colony, 1 hour from now. Bring medical equipment to remove your dead champion." The screen went black. The next hour passed quickly. Word spread through the colony about the challenge. People gathered in small groups talking in worried voices. Some suggested evacuating to the mountains. Others wanted to send a distress signal to Earth, even though help was months away. Dr. Mina spent most of the time in her laboratory. She gathered various containers and instruments, loading them into a portable case. When people asked what she was doing, she just smiled and said she was preparing. Commander Jiho found her as she was closing her equipment case. "Mina, you cannot be serious about this. The Vorthak are legendary for their poison immunity. They have conquered dozens of worlds using biological warfare." She looked up at him with calm brown eyes. "Jiho, do you trust me?" "Of course, but this is suicide. No human can survive the kind of toxins these creatures use." Dr. Mina picked up her case and walked toward the door. "You might be surprised about what humans can survive. We are more adaptable than most people realize." They walked together toward the meeting point. Other colonists followed at a distance, staying far enough back to be safe but close enough to watch. The landing field between the colony and the alien ships was flat and empty, except for red dust and a few scattered rocks. The Vorthak delegation was already waiting. General Krex stood in the center with 5 other aliens who looked similar but smaller. They all carried weapons that glowed with strange colors. Next to the general stood another Vorthak who was different from the others. This one wore elaborate armor covered in symbols. Scars marked its gray skin like decorative patterns. Its 4 eyes glowed brighter yellow than the others. "This is Champion Vex," General Krex announced when the humans approached. "He has survived exposure to 300 different deadly toxins. His body contains immunity to substances that exist nowhere else in the galaxy. He has never been defeated in poison combat." Champion Vex stepped forward and opened a metal container. Inside were dozens of small vials filled with liquids of different colors. Some glowed softly while others seemed to absorb light. "These toxins represent death itself," General Krex continued. "The green one stops hearts in 30 seconds. The blue one dissolves nervous systems. The red one causes organs to shut down one by one. Your champion will die from any single drop." Dr. Mina set down her equipment case and opened it calmly. Inside were her own collection of containers, along with various scientific instruments. "Very interesting," she said, examining the alien toxins with professional curiosity. "I am Dr. Sumina, xenobiologist. I study how different species adapt to hostile environments." Champion Vex picked up the green vial and drank half of its contents without hesitation. The liquid should have killed him instantly, but he remained standing. He even seemed to become more energetic. "Your turn, human," General Krex said with obvious satisfaction. Dr. Mina reached for the same green vial. Commander Jiho grabbed her arm. "Mina, please. This is not worth dying for." She patted his hand gently. "Jiho, remember what I told you about human adaptability." She took the vial from Champion Vex and looked at the remaining green liquid. Then she drank it all in one gulp. The Vorthak delegation watched with anticipation. They expected to see the human collapse within seconds. Instead, Dr. Mina wiped her mouth with the back of her hand and made a thoughtful expression. She said casually. "This has an interesting molecular structure. The base compound seems to be a neural inhibitor with metallic binding agents. Not bad, but the concentration is quite mild." Champion Vex stared at her with all 4 eyes. General Krex took a step backward. Dr. Mina opened her own equipment case and pulled out a familiar container. "Since we are sharing," she said with a friendly smile, "would you like to try some of our human refreshments? This is called coffee. Very popular on our world." General Krex stared at Dr. Mina with his 4 yellow eyes. The alien commander could not understand what had just happened. The human woman had consumed a poison that should have killed her instantly, yet she stood there calmly offering them something called coffee. "Impossible," Champion Vex growled. His voice sounded like grinding metal. "No creature can survive Nexon toxin without proper conditioning. You must have taken an antidote before coming here." Dr. Mina shook her head and smiled. "No antidote. I rarely take anything before field tests. It affects the results." She held up the coffee container again. "Would you like some? It helps keep the mind alert during long experiments." The other Vorthak soldiers whispered among themselves in their harsh language. They had never seen anyone survive their poison so easily. Their entire military strategy was based on their unique immunity to deadly substances. General Krex stepped forward. His armor made metallic sounds with each movement. "You lie, human. Nothing survives Nexon toxin. Our scientists created it from the most deadly plants on 17 different worlds." "Oh, plant-based," Dr. Mina said with interest. She pulled out a small device and aimed it at the empty vial. "That explains the alkaloid structure I detected. Very clever use of biological compounds." She looked at Champion Vex with genuine curiosity. "How long did it take your species to develop immunity to these toxins?" The adaptation process must have been fascinating from an evolutionary standpoint. Champion Vex did not answer. Instead, he reached for another vial. This one contained bright blue liquid that seemed to move on its own inside the glass. "This is void essence," he announced. "It comes from the death world of Kalar 7. One drop destroys the nervous system of any living creature. Even we Vorthak can only consume small amounts." He drank half the vial and immediately began to shake. His gray skin turned darker and veins appeared on his forehead. But he remained standing, though clearly in pain. "Your turn," he said through gritted teeth. Dr. Mina examined the blue liquid carefully. Neurological toxin with possible psychoactive properties. The molecular movement suggests some kind of nanotechnology or microorganism involvement. She drank the remaining blue liquid without hesitation. The Vorthak delegation watched in stunned silence. They expected to see the human woman collapse in convulsions as her nervous system failed. Instead, Dr. Mina blinked a few times and rubbed her temples. "Interesting," she said thoughtfully. "I can feel some minor neural interference, but nothing serious. The effect is similar to drinking too much soju after a long day in the laboratory." Commander Jiho, who had been watching from nearby, felt his heart skip a beat. He knew Dr. Mina was brilliant, but he had no idea she could survive alien poisons. Behind him, other colonists whispered in amazement. General Krex made angry sounds in his throat. "This cannot be. Void essence has killed every creature we have tested it on. Even our own people die if they consume too much. Perhaps your testing was limited to species from this galaxy," Dr. Mina suggested politely. "Humans evolved under different conditions. Our world has many natural toxins that we learned to handle over millions of years." She opened her own case and pulled out several familiar containers. "For example, this is ethanol. We drink it for relaxation. This is caffeine, which we consume daily for energy. And this is capsaicin, which we add to food for flavor." Champion Vex looked at the human substances with suspicion. "Those look harmless. Would you like to try some?" Dr. Mina asked. "I can start with something mild." She poured a small amount of clear liquid into a cup. The ethanol was only 40% alcohol, nothing stronger than standard vodka. Champion Vex took the cup and sniffed it. His four eyes watered immediately. "This has a powerful chemical smell. Just a small sip," Dr. Mina encouraged. "It is quite mild by human standards." The Vorthak champion touched the liquid to his lips and immediately jerked backward. "This burns like acid." "Really?" Dr. Mina looked surprised. She took the cup and drank the entire contents without any reaction. "It tastes perfectly normal to me. Perhaps a bit weak, actually." General Krex was becoming more agitated. His species had conquered world after world using their poison immunity as their primary weapon. If humans could resist their toxins just as easily, then the Vorthak had no advantage at all. "Bring the strongest toxins," he ordered his soldiers. "Prepare the Crimson Death and the Mind Melter. If this human wants to play games, we will show her real poison." Two soldiers ran back to their ships and returned carrying a metal box with warning symbols carved into its surface. They opened it carefully, revealing vials that glowed with ominous red and purple light. "These substances have no cure," General Krex announced. "Crimson Death dissolves living tissue from the inside. Mind Melter destroys brain function while keeping the victim conscious. Even Champion Vex has never consumed full doses of these toxins." Champion Vex nodded grimly. "I can survive small amounts, but only with days of preparation and medical support." Dr. Mina examined the two vials with scientific interest. The red one appears to be some kind of aggressive enzyme. The purple one shows signs of complex molecular chains, possibly designed to cross biological barriers. She picked up the red vial first. "Shall we test the tissue destroyer?" "Wait," Commander Jiho said urgently. "Mina, maybe this has gone far enough. You have already proven your point." Dr. Mina looked at him with calm confidence. "Jiho, trust me. I know what I am doing." She drank half the red liquid. The Crimson Death was supposed to begin destroying tissue within seconds of consumption. Dr. Mina waited a moment, then made a face. "This one has an unpleasant metallic taste. The enzyme structure is quite aggressive, but my digestive system seems to be handling it well enough." The Vorthak soldiers took several steps backward. General Krex made shocked sounds in his alien language. Champion Vex stared at the human woman with something that looked like fear. "How is this possible?" "Our greatest weapons are useless against you." "Not useless," Dr. Mina corrected politely. "Just not as effective as you expected. Different species have different tolerances." She picked up the purple vial containing Mind Melter. "Now let us test the neurological compound." Before anyone could stop her, she consumed the entire contents of the vial. The Mind Melter was designed to cause immediate brain damage while keeping victims aware of their condition. It was considered the cruelest weapon in the Vorthak arsenal. Dr. Mina stood quietly for a moment as if listening to something only she could hear. "This one has interesting effects," she said finally. "I can feel some minor changes in neural activity, but nothing harmful. The sensation is similar to drinking strong coffee on an empty stomach." She pulled out a notebook and began writing observations. The molecular chains do cross the blood-brain barrier, but they seem to be metabolized quickly. Human neural chemistry might be more resilient than your scientists calculated. General Krex could not speak. His entire worldview was crumbling. The Vorthak Empire's greatest strength meant nothing against these strange humans. Champion Vex dropped the empty vials and stepped away from Dr. Mina. For the first time in his life, he felt truly afraid. "What kind of creatures are you?" he whispered. Dr. Mina smiled and offered him the coffee container again. "Just humans, Champion Vex. Perhaps you would like to try our beverages now? I promise they are much milder than your toxins." General Krex paced back and forth across the dusty ground. His metal boots left deep prints in the red soil of New Busan. The alien commander was becoming desperate. Every poison his champion had used against the human woman had failed completely. "Bring me the sealed container," he barked at his soldiers. The one marked with the death symbol. 2 Vorthak warriors ran to their ship and returned carrying a black metal box. Warning symbols covered every surface. The box required 3 different keys to open, and even the soldiers handling it wore thick protective gear. Champion Vex looked at the container with obvious fear. "General, you cannot mean to use Death's Whisper. That substance has never been tested on living subjects." "These humans have forced our hand," General Krex replied angrily. "Death's Whisper is our ultimate weapon. It was created from the most deadly substances in the known galaxy. Nothing can survive it." Dr. Mina watched the proceedings with scientific curiosity. She pulled out her notebook and began sketching the containment procedures. Interesting safety protocols. What kind of compound requires such elaborate storage? General Krex opened the final lock himself. Inside the box sat a single crystal vial containing liquid so dark it seemed to absorb light. Even looking at it made several Vorthak soldiers step backward. "This is Death's Whisper," General Krex announced solemnly. "It contains toxins from 50 different death worlds. Our scientists spent decades creating this ultimate poison. 1 drop can kill a creature the size of a battleship." Champion Vex shook his head rapidly. "General, I cannot consume Death's Whisper. No living being has ever survived even the smallest amount. Our own scientists died just from breathing near it during creation." "Then we will use a smaller dose," General Krex decided. "Just enough to prove our superiority." He carefully extracted 1 tiny drop using a special tool. The drop went into a separate container that was then diluted with neutral liquid until it was barely visible. "Even this microscopic amount should be fatal," he explained to Dr. Mina. "Champion Vex will drink it, first to show that only Vorthak can survive. Then you will drink the same amount and die, proving human weakness." Champion Vex took the diluted container with shaking hands. He said what sounded like a prayer in his alien language. Then he consumed the liquid quickly, like someone taking bad medicine. The effect was immediate. Champion Vex began convulsing violently. His gray skin turned white, then purple. Foam appeared at his mouth and his 4 eyes rolled back in his head. He collapsed to the ground and lay completely still for several long minutes. The other Vorthak gathered around their champion, checking for signs of life. Slowly, very slowly, Champion Vex began breathing again. His eyes opened and he sat up weakly. "I live," he whispered with great difficulty. "But barely." The pain was beyond description. General Krex turned to Dr. Mina triumphantly. "You see, human, even our greatest champion nearly died from the smallest possible dose. Your turn." Dr. Mina examined the remaining diluted Death's Whisper with her scientific instruments. Fascinating compound. The spectral analysis shows traces of at least 30 different toxic alkaloids, plus several synthetic elements I do not recognize. She picked up the container without hesitation. "Commander," Jiho grabbed her arm. "Mina, please reconsider. You have proven your point already. No one will think less of you for refusing this test." Dr. Mina looked at her friend with gentle eyes. "Jiho, I appreciate your concern, but I need to understand what we are dealing with. This could be important for future human and alien interactions." She drank the entire remaining amount of diluted Death's Whisper. The Vorthak delegation watched in complete silence. They expected to see the human woman die horribly within seconds. Dr. Mina stood quietly for a moment, as if waiting for something to happen. Then she made a disgusted face and reached into her pocket. "Ugh," she said, pulling out a small bottle of water. "This tastes like weak soju mixed with cleaning fluid. And maybe some old kimchi that went bad." She rinsed her mouth with the water and spat it out. "Sorry, but that was really unpleasant." like drinking something from under the kitchen sink. The silence stretched on for long seconds. General Krex opened and closed his mouth several times, but no sounds came out. Champion Vex stared at Dr. Mina as if she were a ghost. "Impossible," one of the Vorthak soldiers whispered. "Death's whisper cannot be survived." Dr. Mina pulled out her notebook and began writing. "The compound does produce some minor sensations. Slight warming in the stomach area, minor tingling in the extremities. Overall effect similar to drinking cheap alcohol on an empty stomach." She looked up at the stunned aliens. "I assume this Death's Whisper is your strongest available toxin?" General Krex nodded slowly, still unable to speak properly. "Interesting," Dr. Mina continued. "Your species has clearly developed impressive resistance to toxic compounds. However, you might be surprised to learn that humans consume deadly substances every single day." She opened her equipment case and pulled out several familiar containers. For example, this brown liquid is coffee. It contains caffeine, which is technically a pesticide. Humans drink it every morning. She held up another container. This is chocolate. It contains theobromine, which is poisonous to many Earth species. Human children eat it as candy. A third container appeared. This is alcohol, which I mentioned earlier. It is literally a poison that damages the liver and brain. Humans drink it socially for fun. Champion Vex struggled to stand up. He was still weak from his encounter with Death's Whisper. "You are saying humans regularly consume poisons?" "Not just consume," Dr. Mina replied cheerfully. "We enjoy them. We have entire industries built around producing and distributing toxic substances for recreational use." She pulled out a small red pepper from her case. "This contains capsaicin, which triggers pain receptors and causes intense burning sensations. Humans add it to food to make meals more interesting." General Krex finally found his voice. "Why would any species evolve to enjoy consuming poisons?" Dr. Mina thought for a moment. "Humans evolved on what you might call a death world. Everything on our planet was trying to kill us. Poisonous plants, venomous animals, toxic minerals in the water. We had to adapt or die." She gestured toward the colony behind them. "We did not just adapt to survive these poisons. We learned to use them. Coffee keeps us alert. Alcohol helps us relax. Spices preserve our food and provide nutrition." Commander Jiho stepped forward. He was beginning to understand what Dr. Mina was explaining. "You mean humans turned poisons into tools?" "Exactly," Dr. Mina confirmed. "What other species consider deadly, we consider useful. Our entire civilization is built on controlled consumption of toxic substances." Champion Vex sat down heavily on a nearby rock. The revelation was too much for him to process while still recovering from Death's Whisper. "But how?" he asked weakly. "How can any species survive constant poison exposure?" Dr. Mina smiled. "Practice, Champion Vex, lots and lots of practice. Human children start building poison resistance from birth. By adulthood, we can handle substances that would kill most other creatures instantly." She looked at the various alien toxins scattered around the testing area. "Your Death's Whisper is certainly concentrated, but the individual components are not that different from things humans consume regularly, just in different combinations." General Krex shook his head in disbelief. "This cannot be true. You are describing a species of natural poison immunity far beyond anything we have achieved. Would you like a demonstration?" Dr. Mina asked politely. She held up the coffee container again. "This contains enough caffeine to seriously harm most alien biology. Would you like to try a small amount?" Champion Vex looked at the innocent-looking brown liquid with new fear. After surviving Death's Whisper, he was terrified of human beverages. "No, thank you," he said quickly. "I believe you." The sound of approaching engines interrupted the tense silence on the landing field. Everyone turned to see a human transport ship descending from the sky. It was much smaller than the Vorthak vessels, painted white with blue markings that identified it as a supply ship from Earth. Commander Jiho activated his communication device. "Captain Yoon, this is Commander Jiho. What is your status?" A woman's voice crackled through the speaker. "Regular supply run, Commander. I brought the monthly shipment from home. Coffee, chocolate, spices, and other essentials. Should I delay landing because of our visitors?" Dr. Mina looked at the Vorthak delegation with a meaningful smile. "Actually, Captain Yoon, your timing is perfect. Would you mind bringing some of your cargo down here? We are having a cultural exchange with our new alien friends." "On my way," Captain Yoon replied. 20 minutes later, Captain Yoon walked across the field carrying several boxes. She was a sturdy woman in her 40s with short gray hair and laugh lines around her eyes. Her uniform showed the wear of someone who spent most of her time traveling between star systems. She set down the boxes and looked curiously at the Vorthak soldiers. Interesting visitors. First time I have seen this species up close. General Kreck studied the newcomer with his 4 yellow eyes. You do not seem concerned about meeting an alien military force, Captain Yoon shrugged. I have delivered supplies to frontier colonies for 15 years. You meet all kinds of people out here. Alien or human, most folks are reasonable if you treat them with respect. She opened the first box and began pulling out familiar items. I brought some treats from Earth. Thought the colonists might be missing home cooking. Dr. Mina stepped forward eagerly. Perfect timing, Captain. We were just explaining human dietary habits to our guests. Perhaps they would like to sample some Earth products. Captain Yoon pulled out a thermal container and opened it. Rich, dark liquid steamed in the afternoon air. Fresh coffee brewed this morning on the ship. Would anyone like some? Champion Vex, who was still sitting weakly on his rock, shook his head quickly. No, thank you. We have learned that human beverages are very dangerous. Captain Yoon looked puzzled. Dangerous? This is just regular coffee. Nothing special about it. Perhaps you could tell our visitors about coffee, Dr. Mina suggested. They are interested in human biology. Captain Yoon poured herself a cup and took a long drink. Well, coffee contains caffeine, which helps keep people awake during long space flights. Most humans drink several cups per day. My crew probably goes through 20 liters during a typical journey. The Vorthak soldiers whispered among themselves in alarmed tones. General Krex translated for Captain Yoon. They are saying that the amount of stimulant you described would kill most species through cardiac arrest. Captain Yoon raised her eyebrows. Really? How much coffee would it take to hurt you? Champion Vex spoke up weakly. A few drops of your coffee would probably cause serious organ damage. A full cup would certainly be fatal. Huh, Captain Yoon said, taking another sip. I had no idea aliens were so sensitive. Good thing I did not offer you any. She reached into another box and pulled out a dark brown bar wrapped in foil. How about chocolate? This is milk chocolate from Switzerland, very popular with kids. She broke off a piece and ate it casually. Sweet, creamy, perfect for dessert. General Krex examined the chocolate with his scanning device. The readings made him step backward quickly. That substance contains multiple toxic alkaloids. How are you consuming it without protective equipment? Captain Yoon looked at the chocolate bar with new interest. Toxic? This is just candy. Human children eat chocolate all the time. Birthday parties, holidays, school lunches. She offered the bar to Dr. Mina, who also took a piece. My daughter loves chocolate. She probably eats several bars per week. The Vorthak delegation exchanged horrified looks. Champion Vex made choking sounds. You feed poison to your offspring? Well, when you put it that way, it sounds bad, Captain Yoon admitted. But humans have been eating chocolate for thousands of years. It is completely normal for us, Dr. Mina nodded in agreement. Captain Yoon is correct. Chocolate consumption is considered healthy in moderate amounts. It contains antioxidants that benefit human physiology. Captain Yoon opened a third container, releasing a spicy smell that made several Vorthak soldiers cover their breathing openings. And this is kimchi, fermented vegetables with chili peppers. Korean traditional food. She used a fork to eat some of the red, fermented cabbage. Spicy, sour, full of flavor. Great for digestion and immune system health. General Krex's scanning device started making urgent beeping sounds. The capsaicin levels in that substance are off our measurement scale. How are you not experiencing severe pain? Pain? Captain Yoon looked surprised. This is mild kimchi. My grandmother made much spicier versions. You should try Korean fire noodles if you want real heat. She noticed the Vorthak expressions and paused. Oh wait, you probably should not try fire noodles. If regular kimchi is registering as dangerous on your equipment, spicy food might actually hurt you. Champion Vex struggled to his feet, still weak from the death's whisper test. Captain, are you telling us that human children regularly consume substances that would kill adult Vorthak warriors? Captain Yoon thought about this question seriously. I guess so, yes. Children drink fruit juice, which contains natural acids and sugars. They eat ice cream with vanilla extract, which is alcohol-based. Birthday cake with artificial flavors and preservatives. She opened another container. Speaking of preservatives, anyone want some aged cheese? This cheddar has been fermenting for 2 years. The smell of the cheese made every Vorthak in the area take several steps backward. General Krex's scanner started beeping frantically. That substance is producing toxic bacteria levels that would cause immediate system failure, he announced with horror. Why do humans eat rotted food? Captain Yoon cut a slice of cheese and ate it with obvious enjoyment. Aged cheese is not rotted. It is fermented using controlled bacterial cultures. The aging process creates complex flavors and improves nutritional value. Dr. Mina added, humans eat many fermented foods: yogurt, pickles, wine, beer, bread made with yeast cultures. Fermentation is one of our oldest food preservation techniques. Champion Vex sat back down on his rock, looking overwhelmed. Your entire species exists by consuming poisons and bacteria that would kill us instantly. Pretty much, Captain Yoon confirmed cheerfully. Though we do not think of it as eating poison. We think of it as eating food. She pulled out a bottle of clear liquid. This is vodka, 40% ethanol alcohol. Humans drink it at celebrations and social gatherings. General Krex examined the bottle from a safe distance. That concentration of alcohol would dissolve internal organs. How do humans survive consuming it? Captain Yoon unscrewed the cap and took a small sip. Practice, I guess. Humans have been making alcoholic beverages for 10,000 years. Our bodies adapted to handle moderate amounts. She noticed the aliens were all backing away from her. You know, I am starting to feel like a walking chemical weapon. Should I put this stuff away? Dr. Mina laughed. Actually, Captain, I think that is exactly what our visitors are realizing. From their perspective, ordinary human food and drink are weapons of mass destruction. Champion Vex nodded weakly. We came here expecting to conquer a primitive species with our poison immunity. Instead, we discovered that humans are naturally more toxic than anything in our arsenal. Captain Yoon looked around at the boxes of Earth products she had brought. Coffee, chocolate, kimchi, cheese, alcohol, and dozens of other items that humans consume daily without thinking about it. I never thought about it this way before, she said slowly, but I guess humans do live on a pretty harsh world. We eat and drink things that would probably kill most other species. General Krex made a sound that might have been agreement. Your planet must be the most dangerous world in the galaxy if it produced creatures like you. Captain Yoon smiled and raised her coffee cup in a toast. Here is to Earth, the death world that taught humans how to turn poison into food. General Krex stood in the communications room of his flagship, staring at the transmission screen with all four eyes. He had been trying to contact the Vorthak High Command for the past hour, but every time he started to speak, the words seemed impossible to say. How could he explain that the Vorthak Empire's greatest strength was completely useless against humans? How could he tell his superiors that a single human woman had consumed their most deadly toxins, like they were mild refreshments? Finally, the screen activated and showed the stern face of Supreme. Commander Thax, the leader of the Vorthak military, had scales darker than General Krex and 6 ceremonial scars across his forehead that marked his rank. General Krex, Supreme Commander Thax said in his grinding voice, report on the conquest of the human colony. General Krex opened his mouth, then closed it again. Around him, his bridge crew pretended to be busy with their duties, but he knew they were listening to every word. Sir, he began slowly, the situation is more complicated than we anticipated. Supreme Commander Thax's eyes narrowed. Explain. The humans have natural immunity to our toxins, sir. Complete immunity. Our weapons are ineffective against them. The silence on the communication channel stretched for long seconds. When Supreme Commander Thax spoke again, his voice was dangerously quiet. Did you just tell me that primitives from an unknown world can resist Vorthak poison weapons? Yes, sir. I witnessed it personally. Their scientists consumed Death's Whisper without any protective measures and showed no harmful effects. Supreme Commander Thax made angry sounds in his throat. Impossible. Death's Whisper has never failed to kill. That is what I thought, sir. But the humans are different. They evolved on a world so toxic that they developed natural resistance to substances we consider deadly. General Krex took a deep breath and continued. Furthermore, sir, their normal food and beverages are poisonous to us. What they consider mild refreshments would kill our warriors instantly. The screen flickered as Supreme Commander Thax processed this information. Are you suggesting that humans are more dangerous than Vorthak? I am suggesting that our entire military strategy is based on advantages we do not possess against this species, sir. Meanwhile, in the Colony Communications Center, similar conversations were happening on the human side. Commander Jiho was speaking with Earth Defense Command, trying to explain the situation to Admiral Park. Let me understand this correctly. Admiral Park said through the long-range transmission. You are telling me that our basic foods are weapons against alien biology? That appears to be correct, sir, Commander Jiho replied. Dr. Mina demonstrated that humans can survive toxins that are deadly to one of the galaxy's most feared species. Meanwhile, our coffee and chocolate are apparently dangerous to them. Admiral Park rubbed his forehead. This changes everything about our defensive planning. How many species might be vulnerable to human dietary products? Dr. Tay, the colony's biochemist, stepped forward. Based on our analysis of Vorthak physiology, Admiral, most carbon-based lifeforms would probably have similar reactions. The compounds we consume daily are genuinely toxic to biology that did not evolve on Earth. Explain that in simple terms, Doctor. Dr. Tay pulled up a chart on his tablet. Humans evolved on a planet where everything was trying to kill us. Poisonous plants, venomous animals, toxic minerals, deadly bacteria. We survived by developing resistance to thousands of different harmful substances. He pointed to different sections of his data. Other worlds apparently did not have the same level of natural toxicity. Species from safer planets never needed to develop our level of poison resistance. Admiral Park leaned back in his chair. So what you are saying is that Earth is unusually dangerous by galactic standards? Extremely dangerous, sir. From an alien perspective, Earth would probably be classified as a death world. The fact that intelligent life evolved there at all would be considered miraculous. Dr. Tay continued his explanation. Think about it from their point of view, Admiral. Humans regularly consume alcohol, which is a cellular poison. We eat chocolate, which contains toxic alkaloids. We drink coffee, which is a potent stimulant that affects heart function. And all of this is normal for us. Completely normal. Human children build tolerance to these substances from birth. By adulthood, we can handle concentrations that would kill most other species instantly. Back on the Vorthak flagship, General Krex was receiving new orders from Supreme Command. The news had spread quickly through the military hierarchy, creating panic at the highest levels. All Vorthak forces are ordered to avoid direct contact with human settlements, Supreme Commander Thax announced. Until we understand the full extent of their biological weapons capability, they are to be considered extremely dangerous. Champion Vex, who was still recovering in the medical bay, spoke up weakly. General, should we inform the other species about human toxicity? General Krex considered this question. The Vorthak Empire had enemies throughout the galaxy. If those enemies learned about human poison immunity, they might try to form alliances with Earth. Prepare a general warning, he decided. All species need to know that humans are biologically hazardous. Their food products should be classified as restricted weapons. Within hours, emergency communications were flashing across the galaxy. The Galactic Trade Council received urgent warnings about human exports. The Interspecies Medical Association issued health alerts about Earth-origin substances. On the peaceful world of Centauri Prime, Ambassador Yuki was having tea with the local planetary governor when the warning transmission arrived. She watched in confusion as the alien diplomat suddenly backed away from her in terror. Ambassador Yuki, the governor said in his musical voice, I have just received word that your tea contains deadly toxins. How are you consuming it without protective equipment? Ambassador Yuki looked down at her simple cup of green tea. Governor, this is just tea. I drink it every day. The warning says that human beverages contain compounds that cause immediate organ failure in most species. Ambassador Yuki set down her cup carefully. I had no idea. Should I stop drinking it around you? Please, yes. And perhaps you should inform your people that what you consider normal food might be dangerous to the rest of us. Similar scenes were playing out across the galaxy. Human diplomats, traders, and scientists suddenly found themselves treated as walking biological hazards. Their lunchboxes were confiscated by security forces. Their coffee makers were impounded as dangerous weapons. Dr. Soyon, a human researcher working on the academic world of New Athens, was escorted from her laboratory by armed guards. Her crime had been brewing coffee in the faculty lounge. Professor Soyon, the university chancellor explained nervously, we have received warnings that your beverage could kill faculty members from other species. We must ask you to remove all human food products from campus immediately. Dr. Soyon looked around at her alien colleagues, who were all maintaining careful distance from her. I understand your concern, Chancellor, but I need to eat and drink something. These are basic necessities for human survival. Perhaps you could consume them in isolation? Away from other species? The irony was not lost on Dr. Soyan. Humans were being quarantined not because they were vulnerable to alien diseases, but because they were accidentally toxic to everyone else. Back on New Busan, the implications were becoming clear to everyone involved. Captain Yoon sat in the colony cafeteria, surrounded by boxes of Earth, products that were now classified as hazardous materials. So let me understand this, she said to Dr. Mina. Every human ship that travels through space is basically carrying biological weapons? Dr. Mina nodded. From the perspective of other species, yes. Our cargo holds are full of substances they consider deadly toxins. Commander Jiho joined the conversation. The Galactic Trade Council is demanding that all human food exports be reclassified as restricted military equipment. Coffee, chocolate, alcohol, spices, even basic fruits and vegetables. Captain Yoon laughed, though it sounded a bit hysterical. My cargo manifests are going to be interesting from now on. Instead of listing coffee beans, I will have to write biological warfare agents. Dr. Tay looked up from his research tablet. The scientific implications are enormous. We need to completely revise our understanding of human biology and Earth's ecosystem. He showed them his preliminary data. I have been analyzing the biochemical differences between humans and other species. The gap is much larger than anyone realized. What does this mean for human expansion into space? Commander Jiho asked. Dr. Tay considered the question carefully. It means that humans are probably the most biologically dangerous species in the galaxy, completely by accident. Our mere presence represents a threat to other life forms. Outside, General Krex was preparing to leave New Busan. His ships were loaded and ready for departure. The Vorthak Empire had made a decision to avoid human space entirely until they could develop better protection against accidental poisoning. Champion Vex, still weak but recovering, stood beside his general on the bridge. Sir, he said quietly, what do we tell the High Command about human military potential? General Krex stared out at the human colony, where people were going about their daily lives completely unaware that they had just become the most feared species in the galaxy. We tell them the truth, Champion. Humans do not need weapons to be dangerous. They are weapons. 6 months after the incident at New Busan, the galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The Galactic Council chambers on the neutral world of Harmony Station buzzed with nervous energy as representatives from hundreds of species gathered for an emergency session. Ambassador Kyung sat at the newly installed human delegation table, which was positioned behind a transparent barrier designed to contain any accidental toxic emissions. She sipped her morning coffee from a sealed container while alien delegates watched nervously from across the room. The Vorthak delegation, led by General Krex himself, occupied seats as far from the humans as possible. Champion Vex, now fully recovered but forever changed by his experience, served as a military advisor. He still refused to be in the same room as human beverages. Council Speaker Theron, a tall blue-skinned alien with multiple arms, called the session to order. We are gathered today to address the ongoing crisis created by human biological hazards and their impact on galactic trade and security. Ambassador Kyung activated her translation device and spoke calmly. Honored council members, humans did not intend to create a crisis. We were simply living our normal lives. A representative from the Centauri Republic stood up, his tentacles waving anxiously. Ambassador Kyung, your normal lives are killing our people. 3 of our diplomats have died from accidental exposure to human chocolate. Our hospitals cannot treat caffeine poisoning. We understand your concerns, Ambassador Kyung replied. Earth has established new safety protocols for all human space travel. Our ships now carry warning labels and protective equipment for alien visitors. General Krex spoke from his distant seat. The problem is not just your food exports, Ambassador. Your entire species represents a biological threat. How can we coexist when your very presence is dangerous to us? Ambassador Kyung had spent months preparing for this question. General Krex, humans have lived alongside dangerous creatures for our entire evolution. We learned to coexist with poisonous snakes, venomous spiders, and deadly plants. Perhaps other species can learn similar adaptation techniques. A gasping sound came from the Aquari delegation. Their spokesperson, a fish-like creature in a water suit, spoke through his breathing apparatus. Are you suggesting that we should try to build immunity to your toxins? Not immunity, Ambassador Kyung clarified. Caution and proper handling procedures. Humans work safely with dangerous substances every day through training and protective equipment. Dr. Tay, who had been appointed as the human scientific advisor, stepped forward to address the council. Honored delegates, I have spent the last 6 months studying biochemical compatibility between humans and other species. The situation is manageable with proper precautions. He activated a holographic display showing molecular structures. Human toxicity levels vary greatly depending on the substance. Coffee requires different safety measures than alcohol, which requires different measures than spicy food. The Zephyrian delegate, a graceful winged creature, spoke up. Dr. Tay, your research is interesting, but it does not address the economic impact. Human food exports were worth billions of galactic credits before this crisis. Now they are banned throughout most of civilized space. Ambassador Kyung nodded seriously, which is why Earth proposes the establishment of the Galactic Biological Safety Council. This new organization would regulate and certify human products for alien consumption. She gestured to Captain Yoon, who had been promoted to Director of Human Trade Safety. Captain Yoon has developed protocols for diluting human beverages to safe levels for different species. Coffee can be made safe for most aliens by reducing concentration to 1% of normal human strength. Captain Yoon stood and addressed the council. We have also created specialized versions of human products. Caffeine-free coffee, alcohol-free wine, mild chocolate with reduced alkaloids. These products maintain the flavors that aliens enjoyed but eliminate the dangerous compounds. The crystalline collective representative, whose body resembled living rock, spoke in a voice like grinding stones. This is all very interesting, but what about military applications? If human food is dangerous to us, what about human weapons? The council chamber fell silent. This was the question everyone had been afraid to ask. Ambassador Kyung exchanged glances with her military advisor, Colonel Min, who had arrived that morning on a heavily shielded transport ship. Honored delegates, Colonel Min said carefully, humanity has no desire to use our biological advantages as weapons. We prefer peaceful trade and cooperation. General Krex made a sound that might have been bitter laughter. Colonel, your entire species is a weapon whether you intend it or not. A single human soldier could carry enough coffee to incapacitate an entire alien military unit. Which is exactly why we propose strict controls. Ambassador Kyung responded. The Biological Safety Council would monitor all human products and ensure they are used only for peaceful purposes. Council Speaker Theron raised one of his 4 hands. The Council appreciates Earth's cooperation, but many of our member species are still afraid. The Vorthak Empire was considered the most dangerous military force in the galaxy, and humans made their weapons completely useless. Champion Vex spoke for the first time during the session. Honored Speaker, I personally tested human toxin resistance. Their capabilities are beyond anything we previously thought possible. But I have also observed that humans genuinely want peace. He stood slowly, still showing signs of his difficult recovery. The human scientist who defeated me could have demanded our surrender. Instead, she offered to share her research and help us understand her species better. Dr. Mina, who had been invited as a special consultant, activated her communication device from Earth. Champion Vex is correct. Humanity gained nothing from proving our poison resistance except knowledge. We would rather use our abilities to help other species than to dominate them. The ethereal consortium representative, a being made of pure energy, flickered as it spoke. Dr. Mina, your research has been invaluable. The medical applications of human toxin resistance could revolutionize healthcare across the galaxy. Dr. Mina nodded enthusiastically. Exactly. Humans can safely test new medicines that would be too dangerous for other species. We can help develop treatments for diseases that currently have no cure. Ambassador Kyung sensed that the mood in the chamber was shifting. Earth proposes a new partnership model. Instead of fearing human toxicity, we can use it as a tool for scientific advancement and medical research. She activated another display showing potential applications. Human biochemistry could help develop new preservatives for food storage, new medicines for previously untreatable conditions, and new materials for industrial use. The Merchant Guild representative, a creature with multiple eyes on long stalks, spoke up with obvious interest. The economic potential is enormous. If properly regulated, human biological products could create entirely new industries. Captain Yoon stepped forward again. We have already begun developing specialized trade routes. Human products would be transported in sealed containers with proper safety protocols. Only trained personnel would handle the materials. Council Speaker Theron consulted with his advisors for several minutes. The chamber filled with the sounds of different species whispering in their various languages. Finally, he addressed the assembly. The Galactic Council recognizes that humanity represents both a challenge and an opportunity. We propose the following resolutions. He activated the official recording system. First, the establishment of the Galactic Biological Safety Council with headquarters on Harmony Station. Second, the creation of new trade classifications for human biological products. Third, the development of safety training programs for species interacting with humans. Ambassador Kyung felt relief wash over her. Earth accepts these proposals and commits to full cooperation with all safety measures. General Krex stood up from his distant seat. The Vorthak Empire also accepts these terms. We request immediate access to human toxin resistance research for medical applications. Over the following hours, dozens of species added their approval to the new framework. The galaxy was adapting to the reality of human biology rather than trying to avoid it. As the session ended, Ambassador Kyung packed her sealed coffee container and prepared to return to Earth. She had been away from home for months, negotiating humanity's place in the galactic community. Dr. Mina's voice crackled through the communication system one final time. Ambassador Kyung, I wanted you to know that I have finished my research paper on alien biochemistry. The title is Preliminary Analysis of Extraterrestrial Biochemistry, Why Aliens Cannot Handle Their Liquor. Ambassador Kyung laughed, causing several nearby aliens to step back nervously. Perfect title, Dr. Mina. I think it captures the situation quite well. As she walked toward the exit, Ambassador Kyung reflected on how much had changed. Humans had entered galactic society as humble colonists seeking peaceful expansion. Now they were recognized as one of the most biologically powerful species in known space. As she walked toward the exit, Ambassador Kyung reflected on how much had changed. Humans had entered galactic society as humble colonists seeking peaceful expansion. Now they were recognized as one of the most biologically powerful species in known space. The irony was not lost on her. Humanity had become a galactic superpower, not through advanced technology or military conquest, but simply by being themselves. Their daily habits and dietary preferences had accidentally made them the most feared and respected species in the galaxy. Behind her, alien delegates were already making plans to visit Earth under carefully controlled conditions. They wanted to study the death world that had produced such remarkable creatures. Humanity's future among the stars was secure, guaranteed not by weapons or wealth but by coffee, chocolate, and kimchi.